Back out on the line, and another full day and night of rain. Another, I don't know, 2 3/4 of an inch is what I got in my rain gauge. So in the last 7 days, we've got almost 6 inches of rain. You can see the pond banks are overflowing. Everything is just an absolute nasty, muddy mess, including these sets. And honestly, I'm already sick and tired of just being in the mud constantly. I'm almost the first like 2 days of trapping season, I was not in the mud, and now I'm just completely in the mud. I mean, everything is mud and everything is water, and it's really difficult to keep a line going when this is the way it is. And now it's looking like it's going to turn colder later this week. So lows in like the mid-20s, 27, 26. So now everything's in mud, and then it's going to freeze. So what I'm doing today is I'm running around checking traps, which is obviously a waste of time. We literally had thunderstorms and stuff yesterday. So here's the set. As you can see, everything is washed off. You can see part of my trap. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my little weed tool here, and I'm trying to get some of the mud off of and around of the trap. If I can refrain from pulling the entire trap, that's fantastic. As you can see, there's peat moss all around the jaws, and that's all relatively dry. So I'm taking some of this mud that's packed in here around, and I'm just kind of going around like this, kind of getting rid of some of this mud. Now you can take every single trap out and rebed them all, but it's already bedded in there. So that's what I've got so far. Okay, so now I've got the mud basically kind of removed from around the trap. The inside of the jaws is still peat moss, and honestly, once I take that top layer off of the dirt and the mud that was on top of the trap, underneath there is actually still pretty dry. That peat moss is still pretty dry. So I don't want my trap to freeze in place, so now all I'm doing is I'm putting a little antifreeze around the outside of this. That keeps that mud from freezing. Throwing a little bit more peat moss just on top of those jaws, and then I'm coming through with some dry dirt and just putting some dry dirt around here, and I'm gonna bed this baby in. Okay, now I'm gonna just pack the trap back in here and seat it in nice. It's already actually quite solid, so all I'm doing is just packing this, finding my pan, just packing this dry dirt around it a little bit. Gonna add a little bit more dry dirt to the top of this thing, and I'm good to go. Now I have two choices here, and it really just depends on how muddy it is. I can take some of this dirt and I can try to blend it in a little bit. You can see it's mostly just mud. See, it's just all mud. It's not gonna work. So now what I'm gonna do is, I actually hate when your trap sticks out. You can see exactly where everything is. So now, get this squared away here. Now let's back away and I'll show you kind of what it looks like. Okay, so obviously you can see that that dirt looks a little bit different than just everything else, because everything else is mud. But you can't just see a little, like a little pattern, a little patch of where basically the trap is setting. it looks like all that around there is kind of this dry, fresh dirt. And honestly, when the weather's like this, that's about all you can really do, is just try to blend it in the best you can like that. I just don't like the fact that when you see like a little patch of dry dirt or a little patch of peat moss or whatever you're using, that's just basically like 8 inches around in a circle right where your trap is. I just don't like that. I don't like the way it looks. It just doesn't look at all natural to me. At least that looks a little bit more natural. Get out of there. Get out of there, Athena. Get out of there before you get caught. Get up. Get back. At least this looks a little bit more natural to me. And so that's the way I do it. I have better success this way, and I just like it better. But honestly, when the weather is this bad, when you're getting 3 inches of rain every 3 days, I mean, there's just not a whole lot else you can do, other than I guess you can put like every set out in like a pipe dream set and bed them with grass and stuff like that. That's about the only other option that you have, and so that's about it. Okay, here's a RJ set that I just fixed up a little bit. Again, it's not the perfect scenario. I would much rather have all this dirt be nice and blended in and everything, but when you're in the mud, I mean, you just don't really have any choice. So again, here's my trap, obviously on this little step down. I didn't want to just have that little step down, you know, with the different colored dirt, the dry dirt on it. So again, I scattered some more dirt all around. Again, not the perfect scenario, but I mean, it works. I just like it better when it's all kind of blended in with the same colored dirt. And you can take some dirt like from here in the area and even just, you know, sift it on top and just kind of blend it a little bit. But I mean, there's literally no way to blend anything right now. Everything is just sloppy mud. You throw it in the sifter and it won't even sift through because it's just mud balls. So this is the best scenario that I have. I mean, 6 inches of rain in the last 6 or 7 days. It's all I can do to keep things working. Now, thank goodness, extended forecast looks pretty dry for maybe 5 days in a row. It's going to get colder. That's why I'm using a little antifreeze here, because everything is so muddy. I just don't want things to freeze up with the mud. So I'm using a little antifreeze and just putting things back together. This is as good as I can make it, as good as I can do, and we'll just keep chugging along. Sorry to keep showing you basically empty traps, but I think today is going to be a wash. I mean, it rained literally all night. We even had thunder and lightning last night, and this is like, you know, 2 days before Thanksgiving, and we're having thunder and lightning. What is up with this? So it is what it is. We'll just keep chugging along. It just builds character, So we'll just keep messing along and keep chugging along. Okay, this particular set is a, get back, leave it. It's a T-bone. You can see there's my T-bone. I had this pile of dirt all on top of the T-bone. My trap is actually right here. It's all covered up with this gunk, and I'm basically in a bone pile. Let me back up here so you can see. So here's an old dead cow bone pile. I'm in this field. Creek is right over there. You can see there's part of an old armadillo here. The dog is trying to roll in that. It's a good spot. You can see it's just open right here. These coyotes are running up and down here. And obviously I missed a coyote here last night at some point because he kicked this all around. Sometimes that happens with these T-bones. They come around from the back. The only bad part about the T-bone is you really can't control you know, where they come from. I mean, it's kind of like that with the dirt hole a little bit too, but you put it at an angle, you put it in so deep, you kind of do your best to force that critter to come around to the front. Whereas with the T-bone, sometimes you just can't do that. And I found that sometimes they'll just continually come to the back. And if he does this again, I'll put a trap back there and then I'll catch him with that. But generally, if you just put it back, the critter will just keep coming back and then you'll eventually catch him. Okay, on this particular set, what I did was I had an RJ set sitting here, and the trap was basically sitting in water and mud. The whole bottom of the RJ set, which is like 12 inches deep, completely full of water. There was really no way to fix it. So what I did is I took everything that's on the outside of the RJ set, all the dirt that's sitting around on the top, and I just basically filled the hole back up. You can see what I did. I just basically filled the hole back up. I just pulled the trap out of where it was bedded, and I basically, that way I didn't have to pull it from being staked and with the earth anchor. And I basically just turned this into like a flat set, is all I basically did. I mean, I've already got the disturbance of the dirt from the RJ. Coyotes are going to smell that from the dirt. They're going to be attracted to it. I just covered it up, put a trap right here on this little knoll, which is right in front of the RJ set that didn't have any water on it or is not sitting in any water. And then I punched 3 little dirt holes, 1, 2, 3, all around the outside of this, and I put bait in the one and 2 lures in the other, so there's 3 different smells there. Added some bobcat urine, and I've just basically turned this into a flat set. Now I know, again, you can see, that dry dirt sticks out from everything else because everything else is mud, but I mean, it's kind of cloudy, it's kind of overcast. The top of that dry dirt should turn more of a darker color and start to blend in over the next day or so. But again, at this point, I don't really have much of a choice because everything is literally just mud. So it's not like I can bed the trap in just sloppy mud. So you got to use some dry dirt to try to blend it in as best you can. And just hope that works. Well, what a mess this is. This poor little coon, look at this thing. He's an absolute muddy mess. Unbelievable. It's such a mess out here. Back foot catch on this baby. What an absolute mess. Poor critter. Poor mud. Poor everything. All right. Obviously, I'm going to have to pull this trap and move it. So I guess we'll pick this baby up and move it somewhere else.